Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show. The medical marijuana for you and me. Ah, yeah, the medical marijuana. Whoa, 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 ah, yeah, the medical. It's the medical marijuana show. You will know. I want to talk to you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Medical Marijuana Radio for Saturday, the 4th of January, 2014, our first new show of the year. And I'm your host, Larry Love, and we are on the Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network, and they're still on vacation, but we thought that the goings-on this week in Colorado, which was history, there's just too much to commemorate and to listen to and to see how it all came down on Wednesday in Colorado when people 21 years, adults 21 years and up, are perfectly able to go and buy marijuana at a dispensary, even if you're from another state, another country, it doesn't matter. So freedom was had on Wednesday, and it feels really, really good. But before that, we have a couple things that we want to do. First, here in New Mexico, every Saturday we bring you the strain report, and if you're going to get the strain of marijuana that you need, you have to shop around.
You better shop around. Oh yeah, you better shop around. Shop around.
And here in New Mexico, over at Canaceutics down in Albuquerque, they're going to have this week Blues, Zero Gravity, OG18, Lemon Skunk, Four Corners, and Jilly Bean. Again, that's from Canaceutics. At Medzen, they have Alaskan Thunderfuck, which is a high CBD strain, Urkel Star Dog, Hindu Kush, Bubba Kush, Mazar, Blue Goo, Willie Skunk, and Lemon Kush. Again, that's Medzen. Over at New Mexican, G13 Haze, a really great strain, UBC Chemo, Shiva Skunk, Blue Moon, Mazar, CBD AK-47, CBD Shark Shock. They have Popcorn Bud. What a good deal this is. Something called KA420. It's a sativa, $30 an eighth. Popcorn Bud. Also a quarter-ounce limit on Popcorn Bud. They also have Raspberry Kush, UBC Chemo, Mazar, CBD Shark Shock, Blue Dream, Super Silver Haze, and G13 Haze. That Popcorn Bud is all an eighth for $32. Again, New Mexican. Also in Santa Fe, New Mexico Top Organics. They're going to have Blue Dream, RX, and White Widow. That's their bud. And in BHO, they have Banana Kush, Blue Dream, Indica Blend, Oracle, RX, White Fire, and White Widow. Boy, that's a lot of interesting BHO right there at New Mexico Top Organics. And at Sandia Botanicals, this week they have Island Sweet Skunk. And that's it for the strain report. But interestingly enough, with everything going on in Colorado, we're a border state right here in New Mexico where I live, and there's some stuff happening here. So I'm very happy to play this next clip. Tonight's going to be a clip night because of so much that was on the media all week long. So first New Mexico and then Colorado. If it wasn't for Colorado, we wouldn't have the possibility of this.
Something that grows naturally, and to say you can't use that plant. That'll be proven to have been pretty foolish.
If State Senator Gerald Ortiz-Pino has his way, scenes like this in Colorado would become the norm in New Mexico, making possession, sale, distribution, and recreational use of pot legal.
I think a lot of voters in this state say this is something, the time has come, this is something we're ready to try.
But to get it to New Mexico voters, he needs a simple majority of state lawmakers to sign off on the constitutional amendment.
A lot of folks will come back and tell you, well, we'll tax it. It's a great revenue source. I think that's the worst reason in the world to consider something like this.
Senator Sander Rue says he's concerned the constitutional amendment would only decriminalize it, leaving key details like who can grow it and sell it and how to enforce it for legislators to figure out in the following session.
I think to skip by these potential objections, decriminalize it, and then go back and say, well, we'll fix everything else after the fact. I'm not sure the public trusts the system.
And the public would be the next challenge. A poll by a pro-marijuana group last year showed New Mexicans are split nearly 50-50 on the issue.
Some people really do need it, and it would help a lot of issues that are going on. It would help lower the drug problem here, like the hardcore drugs. And marijuana, I don't really consider it a drug. I consider it more of an herb because it helps a lot of people.
When I'm out and about, I don't like to be bothered with the cigarette smoke. So I would be against people legalizing marijuana because I feel like it would just, take over my life.
Yeah, okay. So this guy in Albuquerque thinks that legalizing marijuana for other people, even though he doesn't like it, is going to take over his life. Whoa. Okay, well, I wonder what his life is like, because that's just a little bit nutty. Okay, so next, one more from New Mexico, and then we'll head on up the border to Colorado.
We're in New Mexico, no matter where you get it. And as News 13's Kayla Ayers found out, police here will be keeping an eye out.
Kim, the new law in Colorado makes it illegal to take marijuana out of the state. New Mexico State Police say they won't be cutting pot smokers slack even if they scored the weed legally.
Dubbed Green Wednesday, yesterday was a milestone, the unveiling of a legal pot industry in Colorado.
It smells fantastic.
Colorado residents aged 21 and over can buy an ounce of marijuana. Visitors are limited to a fourth of that, and pot use is regulated. But all this doesn't change a thing for New Mexico.
If you're in New Mexico, you fall under those statutes and those laws.
You can't take marijuana purchased in Colorado out of state, but New Mexico State Police say it's only a matter of time before it crosses state lines.
Sometimes some people are going to go do what they're going to do in Colorado and then want to bring it back into New Mexico.
It's too early for police to tell how big of a problem this could become, particularly in the northern part of the state.
Let's give it a year and let's see what happens.
Currently, there are no plans to increase state police patrols or create any kind of task force to address it.
Officers will go out, they'll go 10-8, enforce the laws here in New Mexico, traffic laws, criminal laws, and just go about their daily business as we have been doing.
Charges in New Mexico for pot possession are based on the amount ranging from petty misdemeanors to felonies. Police say even if it's legal in Colorado, it's not here.
They need to know that New Mexico has different laws and it's not going to fly in New Mexico.
At least 24 pot shops opened in 8 towns in Colorado yesterday. Places like Durango could start selling pot later this year, but they're still hammering out the details. Kim, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Kayla. Now, authorities in other neighboring states, including Utah and Oklahoma, say they expect more marijuana will be crossing their borders from Colorado as well.
So basically, if you're a medical marijuana user, it's still illegal to bring something across the state line. It's absolutely a federal offense at this point to bring something across the state line. So you would be legal in Colorado when you're holding it. You'd be legal if you were a medical patient once you got here. But that one little line you cross is still a federal offense. So we'll have to see what happens between now and the end of the Obama administration to see if they're going to fix all of this stuff. So a good thing, obviously, to keep people from getting arrested coming back down to New Mexico from Colorado would be for us to legalize it and hopefully vote for it this coming November. So let's hope that we can get that together. But Wednesday was an historic day, and here's how NBC News covered the first sale in Colorado. And later, after after the first break, we will have a guest on from Colorado who was one of the first people to purchase, or the first person in one particular city. But this one is in Denver, and this is NBC News.
8 a.m. we're going to do it! Woo-hoo! Sean, your total is $59.74. Thank you very, very much.
You can hold the money there for a while if you want.
$60. It's pretty surreal.
Right?
Yes. All right, so 26 cents is your change. There's 26. Let me get you a receipt and put that in the bag.
This was a veteran who made the first sale in Denver.
Actually, I think I'm going to put the barrel in.
It was jammed with...
This is a joint tube. We recommend only 1 or 2 inhalations of our cannabis and then put it out, wait about 10 minutes before you try more. So that is on the house, and we'll get you a big bag for the edibles too.
I feel amazing. This is a huge step forward for veterans, not only in Colorado, but other states that don't have this opportunity to have recreational cannabis yet. It's a huge stepping stone for other states and not only the world. So.
Why is this important to you, Sean?
So now I get to use recreational cannabis to help alleviate my PTSD, and it's a stepping stone for other states to help other veterans as well.
So that's just one report, and there's going to be several reports here that I want you to hear. I don't know if you've had time during the week to watch a lot of television and watch the news, but that's part of my job, and it's my job to bring it to you. So again, this is legal marijuana sales beginning in Colorado, making history.
A celebratory atmosphere outside marijuana shops this morning as Colorado becomes the first state in the nation to legalize the sale of pot. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joel Hillen. Alan and Britt are organizers of the initial campaign to get small amounts of marijuana for retail sale are predicting what happens here will pave the way for other states to sell pot in stores. Howard Nathan is live now outside the 3D Medical Marijuana Center on Brighton Boulevard. And Howard, it looked like Black Friday out there this morning. It still does with folks lined up behind you there.
Joel, we stepped inside and you can see the long line stretching all the way outside. A very celebratory atmosphere. One gentleman told me it took him 3 hours just to set foot inside the building. As you can see, no one's celebrating, no one is celebrating, no one is complaining, rather. The first legally sold marijuana here goes to an Iraqi war veteran.
Okay, so do you want to take a look at that, make sure that's the one that you want? Smell that.
It smells fantastic.
You'll be very happy with that.
Sean Azariti of Boston, a Marine, says he came home with PTSD.
I'd rather use cannabis than benzos like Klonopin and Xanax. It's a lot more safer in my opinion.
A handful camped out overnight, many from out of state.
You know that you cannot smoke it on the streets in Denver. Did you know that?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
Some say they're now staying.
I sold my house a couple months ago to prepare to move to Colorado.
It's a watershed moment as we end marijuana prohibition in our country and move into a more sensible era.
Organizers of the campaign to legalize marijuana are predicting benefits to Colorado and beyond in the form of jobs, millions in tax dollars, and a reduction in crime.
And all that money goes into the hands of the underground market and cartels. Well, that stops today.
Coloradans are allowed to buy up to an ounce. Out-of-state visitors, a quarter of an ounce. There's also a concern pent-up demand may blow through the supply.
Not today.
What about tomorrow, next week?
Possibly by Monday for a short period of time.
This is also a cash-only business, and where there's cash, there may be crime. One customer showed us a mini bat for protection. The store owner says she is protected too.
Denver PD installed a high-tech camera across the street. We're on closed-circuit TV to Denver PD Live. My cameras are live. My security is as strong as a casino.
And this is the small room where the now legal transactions are taking place, not in some alleyway someplace. And if you're wondering how much to buy this, a quarter of an ounce right now selling for $100, roughly the amount of a street sale that used to be illegal in Colorado. Reporting live in Denver, Howard Nathan, CBS 4 News.
Howard, thank you. And even though pot is now legal under Colorado law, you can still lose your job for using it. Employers still able to restrict employees from using or possessing it. They can also administer drug tests to identify users. Very few employers are relaxing current drug use policies.
And they don't care whether the usage is off duty or on duty. They're going to be hyper vigilant to make sure that it isn't on duty.
Yeah, and we're told that 60% of businesses in Denver and Boulder counties will still drug test for marijuana.
So there's still obviously going to be a lot of things to work out, kinks to work out in the system, and employers sort of not lighting up, but lightening up. You know, if somebody tests positive for alcohol, are they going to get fired? Let's wait and see. All right, one more, and then we're going to take a little break.
When the nation's first government-regulated retail pot goes on sale in about 8 Denver stores Wednesday morning, city and industry leaders don't want things to turn ugly.
That's definitely a concern. We're trying to take it day by day.
We've actually been able to show over the last few years that all the predictions about, the sky falling have not come true.
The 16th Street Mall has been called a magnet for public pot smoking, which is illegal under the city ordinance. So the Downtown Denver Partnership is putting up these signs on the mall to let locals and visitors know the rules about recreational reefer in Denver.
This certainly is something that the nation is watching us for, and the city and a lot of other entities have been really working hard to make sure that everything is done in a precise manner that accommodates everybody's needs.
With signs on the mall, in posters and flyers like these spread around the city, the rules about pot are simply explained. You can't take it out of state. You can't drive stoned, can't consume it publicly, can't resell it, and you can't give it to somebody under 21.
The consumers and the business community have got to be better than anyone expected we could be and take on these issues and make sure they don't become issues.
Denver International Airport has warned of a zero-tolerance policy on pot, which is illegal under federal law, and Denver police will be keeping a close eye on expected crowds around retail shops.
We expect everybody to act in a professional manner. We're going to have security here. The District 3 police has been around a few times, so they're definitely going to be watching.
With many holding their breath to see what happens.
Okay, so that's a little bit about what's going on in Colorado. We'll be right back with our guest after this break. And let's hope that here in New Mexico, we can do it again like they did up in Colorado.
In the morning you go gunning by the man who stole your water, and you fire till he's done in, but they'll catch you at the border, and the moon is all singing as they drag you by your feet, but the hangman is hanging, so they put you on the street. Baby, you go back, Jack, do it again. Wheel turning round and round. You go back, Jack, do it again. When you know she is no high climber, then you find your only friend in a room with your two-timer, and you're sure you need an end. Then you love a little wild one, who she bring you only sorrow. All the time you know she's smiling, you'll be on your knees tomorrow. Baby, you go back, Jack, do it again. Wheel turning round and round. You go back, Jack, do it again. Then you swear and kick and beg us that you're not a gambling man. Then you find you're back in Vegas with a handle in your hand. Your black card can make you
Hi, this is Steve D'Angelo, and you are listening to Medical Marijuana Radio.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana radio. Radio show.
Okay, we're back, and let me get our guest on the phone here. Let's see if this works out. And if you want to call in, it's 505
Hey, I'm sorry I missed your call, but if you leave a message, I'll call you back as soon as I can. Thanks.
Okay.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Okay, hi, this is Larry from Medical Marijuana Radio, leaving you a message. If you get this, give me a call at 514-0098, and then we'll hook you into the show. So our guest was supposed to be one of the first people that was able to purchase in Colorado, and we'll see if he calls back. Meanwhile, if you'd like to call in out there, the numbers again, 575-5194-MMJ, 505-514-0098. In Arizona, 623-399-4MMJ. California, 818-8500 MMJ. And you can Skype me at MMJ Radio. Here is a clip from Huffington Post about the first day in Colorado of legal marijuana.
Speaking of Colorado weed sales, long lines, people jumping for joy, festive attire. This was all part of the scene on New Year's Day for the opening. It was a pretty hilarious event. Can we take a look at some of the day's pictures? Check this out. Look at the lines. Look at the people. Look at the happiness. Weed brings everyone together, Arthur. Is that true?
Yes, and here's the thing to keep in mind about these pictures. These people are not high yet. That's how happy they are. There's the picture of the guy looking over the glass counter. Look at the giddiness on his face. It's like a second Christmas for all these people in Denver. The father and son who drove up from the south and camped out in their car and painted themselves green. What a happy story. Yes. Hopefully.
Hi, you're on the air. It's Larry at Medical Marijuana Radio.
Hey, this is Jeff with Irie Genetics.
Hi, Jeff. How are you? Welcome to Medical Marijuana Radio. Again, what's the name of your genetic company?
I'm with Irie Genetics, Colorado.
Irie Genetics, Colorado. And Jeff, you posted on Facebook that you were one of the first people, or if not the first person in one particular city to purchase. Tell me a little bit about your experience on Wednesday.
Wednesday, I was the first person to buy recreational cannabis at the Greener Side Dispensary in Pueblo County in Pueblo, Colorado. Man, I had to get there. I was there about 6 o'clock. The sun wasn't even up yet. It was super cold. But I was first. I got to be the first one to buy ganja, and then the news was there. They got to film me on the news buying ganja. It was kind of fun.
Ah, okay. I might have missed that clip. Maybe you'll send me a link to that. Tell me a little bit about how many other people were there, after you were the first one. How was the line in Pueblo?
At first, there were only about a dozen of us in line, and then by the time I was done shopping, there had to be near 100 people, between 75 and 100 people in line after me. And the line, I hung out a little bit because I do a podcast, and I took my podcast down there. That line didn't stop until probably 10 p.m.
Wow, fantastic. So once you got in, obviously, are you a red card holder as well?
Yeah, I've been a medical patient for about 5 years, but I've wanted to buy recreational weed just for the novelty of it.
Right. Well, listen, I've been smoking cannabis for 45 years, and what you were able to do on Wednesday, gives me the chills. It's something I've been waiting for, practically all of my life, and you are a lucky man in a lucky state, and what you guys are doing up there is going to just set precedents all over the place. So when you got in, first of all, was this a dispensary that you used with your red card medicinally? So did you know these people and their medicine?
Yeah, I've shopped at that shop for quite a while now. It's the go-to shop around here, and I was very familiar with their medicine. I already knew what I wanted before I even got in line.
So tell me a little bit about what strains or what products you bought.
I picked up, of course, the Girl Scout cookies and an eighth of Tahoe OG and an eighth of Girl Scout cookies. They also have some really good cotton candy Romulan was something that I was looking at, but I prefer the indica stuff for flowers. If I'm doing dabs, I like sativa dabs.
Uh-huh. And so Girl Scout cookies, obviously, that's a very prominent strain. I think it's won several awards with the High Times Cups over the last few years. So was that the first time you had that strain, and did it live up to its expectations?
You know, they did a really good job with the strain. I'm actually a grower and a breeder myself, so I'm really familiar with the Girl Scout cookies. I grow it myself, and I do a good job. But these guys did a really good job with their grow. For as much product as they have, I'm really impressed with the quality of it.
Okay, now price is obviously very interesting to talk about, because the prices have been down, I believe, over the last couple years in Colorado. So how much a gram was it, or how much an eighth and so forth were they charging on Wednesday?
You know, I didn't pay attention to the gram price. I think the greener side was only selling eighths and quarters to keep the line moving. They had pre-packaged eighths and quarters.
Okay.
It was $55 an eighth plus tax.
Wow.
Yes, my receipt came out to $114.25 for a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be about half that, to tell you the truth, before the recreational change.
All right, now let's talk about that a bit. First of all, I've been following what's going on in Colorado. You guys are our neighbors. We're down here in New Mexico, and so I've been watching, and I listened to a lot of podcasts. I didn't know about yours, but I certainly want to listen to it. So you'll let me know later where that is. But I've listened to John Doe Radio when he was around, and of course the iCannabis people have some great shows, and so I've been following what's going on. They have been suggesting that the people who are in the medical program, that they keep their red card up. So tell us about the privileges that medical patients will have over the recreational, what the differences are.
The main difference is the taxes. The taxes for recreational are about 25%, and that's making your medicine, or it's just recreational, so that's making the pot really expensive. One of the advantages I've seen for the red card holders is if there's a shop that has, some shops are able to do recreational and medical, and if you have your medical card, you don't have to stand in line anymore for those long recreational lines. They're letting the red card holders jump right up to the front of the line. So that's definitely advantageous. And also, I think that the medical shops may have product when these rec shops run out, because there will be a time when we run out of weed here pretty soon.
That's a very interesting concept. I did hear that some medical shops who have been licensed to sell recreational as well are saving a certain percentage for recreational and keeping a lot of it for medical. Is that what you're hearing as well?
Exactly that, yes.
Will there be strictly recreational shops that won't be medical?
Yes, there'll be both. There'll be shops that are strictly medical, there'll be shops that are strictly recreational, and there will be combo shops.
Right.
I think in the end, it will merge eventually.
Yes, well, there needs to be, obviously some simpatico with medical and recreational, because people will still be using cannabis medically, and they need to be able to go to the right shop to where maybe they can get the right advice that may not be able to get at a recreational shop. So I do believe that the medical and recreational need to coexist, and that there will always be medical dispensaries that will specialize in those kind of products. At least that's my opinion. So now the second day was, pretty much went as smoothly as the first day. Tell me how the last couple of days have been. Everything, is it slowing down, or are there still lines?
Well, today was the weekend, so we had, I wasn't able to make it, but Tommy Chong is at a dispensary here just a few miles from my house.
Really?
So they're busier than ever over there now, and there's still lines outside of dispensaries. It's snowing pretty good in Denver, and there's some snow where I am, and it's not slowing them down at all. They're still in line, and they're still shopping.
And are you saying that Tommy Chong was a guest at a dispensary, or that he has a dispensary?
No, he's a guest. He's visiting and hanging out at, I'll say it, they're called Marisol in Pueblo West. He's actually hanging out there today, signing autographs, taking pictures, and just kind of hanging out with all the crowd, being friendly.
I can't imagine the smile on his face. Just to,
Oh, yeah.
He's also a warrior, because he went to jail for selling bongs. I mean, that's just so outrageous. So
no cannabis involved.
Yeah, which was really, really crazy. I had the pleasure back in the 70s to share a joint with Cheech once. That's one of my celebrity joint sharing experiences in Los Angeles. And
congratulations.
yeah, which I keep with me to this day. And the other celebrity smoker that I was very proud to smoke with once in L.A. when I lived there was Steve McQueen, who really wasn't around long enough, but he was a wonderful, gentle man, and I got to meet him several times. So now tell me a little bit about your genetics company. And my first question to you is going to be, what are the restrictions in out of state and out of country people obviously can come to Colorado and purchase? Can they buy genetics, or are genetics not allowed to be sold to anyone but Coloradans?
I don't have a dispensary myself, so I'm not exactly sure on the out-of-state and the visitor rule on selling seeds. I know if you're a patient and a resident, I know that they can sell you seeds at a lot of the dispensaries. Currently, my seed company can't sell seeds at a dispensary because everything sold in the dispensaries must be grown under Colorado Medical Marijuana Enforcement Division cameras, and I don't participate in that, so I'm not able to be into the dispensaries, which is kind of my choice. I could, if I wanted to do that, I could, but that was something that I tried to avoid for as long as possible. There's a lot of taxes. My prices would have to go up to do that. There's a lot of licensing, a lot of taxes and things. I just keep myself as a private caregiver, which keeps me legal. I'm registered to have 5 patients and myself, so I just use our plant counts for my breed programs, which is plenty of plants for me. So you can't buy Irie Genetics in a dispensary. We are available on websites, but I really can't tell you which ones just to keep myself safe.
I totally understand. I mean, obviously, there's breeders, here in the U.S. like Scott at Rare Dankness and TGA and Adam Dunn and all these guys. They're able to somehow sell genetics seeds in Europe. So I do understand that. So how many different strains have you bred and that you have in your catalog?
Right now we've got 4 available. I've probably got 6 more that I haven't released. They're still being tested. I don't like to send stuff out until I've had several people run several packs of it.
Sure.
There are 4 strains available. I've got the Heart of Gold. I've got the Grateful Dog. We've got Lemon Jeffrey. And I'm working on 2 things right now called the Bounty Killer and Capleton, which I'm pretty excited about.
All right. So, okay, are you breeding everything, from scratch, stuff that you've developed over the years, or tell me how that works. For the Lemon Jeffrey, let's say, what are the genetics on that?
The Lemon Jeffrey is a golden goat female that was reversed to become a male, and I used that reversed male pollen to hit a lemon skunk female to create the feminized Lemon Jeffrey seeds.
Wow. I'm a real big fan of Super Lemon Haze, which is one of the most citrusy strains that I've ever smoked. It's just amazing, and of course it won 2 years in a row, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Amsterdam. Are you going to be entering any of your strains in the cups in Colorado coming up?
I was going to keep it a little bit of a secret, but I'll say it now. I plan to, in 2015, I plan to enter the High Times Cannabis Cup here in Denver with some of my genetics that I will breed and grow myself.
So let me, you said something interesting about stressing and reversing a female to have it pop, male flowers. Is there a downside of that by having possible hermaphrodite plants grow in the future, or is it? Tell me about that. It's fascinating to me.
Some strains don't work when you reverse them and pollinate. Well, they do work, but the seeds that come out of that will be hermaphroditic. You just have to give it a try. You have to make the cross and then test a bunch of the seeds yourself before you're even able to sell them or give them to other people. So that's how I find out if I've got hermaphrodites or stable stuff. I can usually, they call me the weed whisperer over here, because I can usually look at 2 plants and say, that needs to cross, because that's going to make something stellar. I can just feel it, I know by looking. And so I'll admit I've made some crosses that I wish I never would have spent the time to do, because I've got bags of seeds that I just threw away because the cross was terrible. So it's kind of, you just have to do it and grow it and pray for the best.
And before you send some genetics seeds to market, do you go to the F2 stage? Is that to stabilize it? Is that usually what people do when you're breeding?
For the regular seeds, I like to get to F3 or F4. For fem seeds, I found that the first, if you just use the 2 original parents and make the seeds with the fem seeds like that, they come out more uniform that way if you don't take them another generation.
Is there any downside to feminized seeds?
There is kind of one downside, and I see the responsibility as a breeder. If we all keep making feminized seeds, we will ruin cannabis. There won't be any new stuff, and it'll all be femmed, and eventually it will all be a hermaphrodite if we keep messing with it like this. So I take it upon myself to try and create plenty of non-feminized seeds to kind of create a balance for that. So there is kind of a problem. If it's done properly, we can keep the problems in check.
Yeah, I feel for what you're saying. Hermaphrodites have become so popular. I've even heard people, who've bought feminized seed that did get some hermaphrodites out of that. So the gene pool obviously has really gotten strained, so to speak. I hate to use that word like that, but I agree with you. And a lot of connoisseur smokers and growers would prefer to start their plants from seed, because I think they're more viable and volatile, don't you?
That, and there's no bugs. I've gotten so many clones from friends and dispensaries that have just been covered in bugs.
Yeah, no,
and
yeah,
you
bugs
don't
can.
get the bugs. And
Yeah.
I think if we're all growing from clones, then we're all growing the same stuff. Everybody's going to have OG Kush and Chem Dog here. So if we grow from seeds, then there's a little bit of variation there in the progeny. So you might find the pheno that I didn't, and you'll have something killer.
Sure. Jeff, do you have more time? I want to take a little break, and then I want to come back and finish up with you and promote where people can get a hold of you and so forth. So can I put you on hold for 4 minutes, and we'll come right back and we'll finish up with you?
That sounds great. I'm going to take a couple dabs.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, I'll be talking to a different Jeff when we come back. He'll be the dabbed Jeff. So we'll be right back after this.
Hi, this is Steve D'Angelo, and you are listening to Medical Marijuana Radio.
God save the Queen, a fascist regime. It made you a moron, a potential H-bomb. God save the Queen, she ain't no human being. There is no future in England's dreaming. Don't be told what you want. Don't be told what you need. There is no future. There is no future. There is no future for you. God save the Queen. We mean it, man. We love our Queen. God save the Queen, 'cause tourists are money and a figurehead is not what she seems. When there's no future, how can there be seen? Where the flowers in the dustbin, where the poison in your human machine, where the future, your future. God save history. God save your maid parade. Oh Lord God have mercy. 'cause all crimes are paid. No future, no, no, no future, no, no future for me. No future, no, no future, no future for you.
Hey, this is Scott from Rare Dagnus. You're listening to Medical Marijuana Radio.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio. Radio. Show.
Okay, we're back. Let me get Jeff back on the line here. Hi, Jeff. You're back on the line live at Medical Marijuana Radio. So, what were you dabbing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said, what were you dabbing during the break? What strain?
Oh, I was dabbing. I just harvested a nice light of some Gage Green Genetics stuff, and it's a nice mix of Grape Stomper and King Chem.
Wow. And so is this a BHO extract or are you using alcohol, CO2? What's going on up there?
I've got a BHO extract made from my buddy Elevated Concentrations makes it for me.
So is it more of it's a wax then in that particular state?
This is shatter.
Oh, shatter. Okay.
Pure shatter. It's like a Jolly Rancher texture, almost like broken glass.
Uh-huh. And so let's get back to your genetic company, okay?
Okay.
How long did it take you to feel comfortable before you were ready to release one of your strains?
Oh, I think I was working with the first two strains I released for probably 2 or 3 years before I released any seeds.
And do you have a well, let me ask you this. Obviously, it's legal in Europe, and many United States seed companies, get established there. Why are the prices of seeds so expensive? I mean, I don't know what you guys charge, but basically, you can anywhere from $5 to $10 or $15 a piece. Tell me, I know it takes years and years to do something and get something stable, but do you think you'll see a day when genetics will come down in price?
Depending on where you buy the seeds are really coming down in price. In Colorado, if you find me, personally, the seed packs are about half the price of what you're paying online. Mm-hmm. It's just inflation because it's going from person to person to person. And once they leave Colorado, they become illegal. Right. And then they have to be shipped through the mail to people. So it's kind of risky, and you're paying more for that risk than the product. Honestly, I don't make very much per seed. Uh-huh. I see a small portion of what the consumer pays.
Right, but if you do well in a cup, then things will change, won't it?
I'll still sell they'll still be the same price. I'll just sell more seeds.
Uh-huh.
I won't increase my prices, but my sales will definitely increase.
Okay, so favorite strain of all time, leaving your personal strains. What's your holy grail?
Wow, that's funny you said that because the Holy Grail Kush from DNA Genetics is definitely one of my favorites.
Okay.
There was a strain back in the day called P91 that I used to really love, and then that there's some weed from California that doesn't really have a name. It's just that Northern California weed, man. It smelled delicious, and I haven't had that in probably since I quit going on like fish tour in the early 2000s.
Uh-huh. Well, I go back, much further. My holy grail is the 1971-72 Gold Colombian that from Santa Marta that used to come over in big, hefty bags with orange peels in them. And it was the seediest pot I'd ever smoked in my entire life. And it was really previous to Sensimilla starting to come in from Hawaii and Northern California when I lived in LA. So the holy grail for me is the Gold Colombian. Now, have you ever had success in popping old seeds? Is there any kind of method or any treatment that you can give once they've dried out? Are they finished, or do you have any information on that?
The only way I know to test them is just to try. I usually fold up a paper towel into quarters and soak it with water, and I would germinate those seeds just like any others and hope for the best. I've seen Jorge Cervantes scrape them up with some sandpaper to kind of take that outer coating off. But I personally, I've never done that. I think nature knows how to make its own seeds grow, so I just soak them in a paper towel.
Yeah,
and
well,
usually within 2 or 3 days, I've got nice little tap roots.
Yeah, that's my method, and that's been my method of popping seeds, since the late 70s. I've managed to hold on. I saved probably a 1,000 of these Santa Marta gold seeds back in the 70s, and unfortunately, one of my breakups with one of my girlfriends, she cleaned my house out and took my little box, but I managed. I probably still have about 20 of them, and over the last few years, I try to pop them every once in a while, but I've had zero success. I mean, they're 43 years old, so
yeah, they may have lost their viability, and they may have just been dud seeds anyway.
Well, I was able to grow it. Let's see, it was from 72. So in the 80s and 90s, they were poppable, and they did pop. But the last 10 years, they've sort of taken on a different. I can't do it. I've tried. I've soaked them in water. I've done everything. But maybe the sandpaper is something interesting that we should try.
That may lessen the outer coating there for you.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I'll let you know if it happens. I'd love to save that strain because I haven't seen anything with Colombian genetics that seemed anything like what we had when it was a land race, when it was unadulterated, untouched. That's part of what's been happening over the last 30 years is so much crossbreeding that it's hard to find real land race stuff. But to save a strain like that, I think would be really interesting. So, all right. So tell us, in Colorado, if people you're not in Denver, right? You're in another city.
I'm in another city. I'm about 100 miles south of Denver.
Okay, and they still have the caretaker model for medical. So you mentioned you had X amount of patients that you grow for.
Right.
There's a limit to that.
Oh, you're allowed to have 5 patients now.
Okay.
Back in the day, it was unlimited, so you would just get a big stack of patients, and then you'd be able to grow unlimited plants, and that's how we would open dispensaries is by doing that. So they put a ban on that.
And Erie Seeds,
Irie.
I'm sorry, Irie. Tell me about the name. That's what I was going to ask you. The correct pronunciation, and tell me how you came up with the name and what it means.
Irie is actually a Jamaican word. It's from the patois. It's the Rastas say Irie. It's feeling the best you could feel, feeling blessed. When you're sitting next to your best friend and the wind is blowing in your hair, everything feels perfect. You're smoking a big fat joint, nothing to complain about. You're feeling Irie.
Very cool.
So we're the Irie genetics. Yeah.
Very cool. Have you been to Jamaica?
I have not been to Jamaica. I currently cannot leave the country.
Okay. Well, we don't need to talk.
That's another story.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. Maybe for another time, or maybe for never. I'm sorry that you're in that position, but you know what? Traveling right now is not very good. But while I have,
by the time I can travel, it'll be good. So I'll fix it soon, and we'll get all over the place.
I do have a clip that I was going to play. It's 3 minutes long. I'm not going to play it because you're much more interesting than these clips that I've been playing. I have one that says Colorado Springs is allowing, the airport there is allowing people to fly out, I guess, with marijuana on them. I'm assuming that as long as they're flying within the state, or maybe to another state that is legal. I know that... Go ahead.
Oh, I don't think they care where you're going. They've decided that the TSA's job is not to mess with us for cannabis, that it's only to look for safety issues. And they've decided that it's up to the police wherever you're landing. And they're not even, if they do find cannabis, they're not going to flag you. They're not going to say, hey, law enforcement in destination spot, this guy's got weed. they're just going to let you fly. They don't care.
Is that good for Denver International? Because I saw one of the reports mentioned that they were going to be strict about. They said they wouldn't look for it, but if they found it, they would maybe turn you over to local law enforcement. Is that something that you know about?
That's what I read, or that's actually what I saw in the news report. I didn't read anything about that yet, but that's what I read or saw in the news, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I've seen medical patients just declare their stuff as they go through, and they'll as long as you're going to another medical place, they'll totally let you take it there if you declare it. I've heard another friend of mine that travels a lot say that they find his weed all the time and they don't even care.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but he just travels with, like his quarter or his half ounce or whatever for himself.
Right. Let me ask you this: do you like edibles?
I do like edibles.
Favorite form of ingestion? Papers, rolling a joint, pipe, bong, as far as bud is concerned.
If I'm going to smoke buds, I like a big fat bong rip.
Okay, not a joint.
Not a joint. For some reason, I just like that. Well, now that I'm getting older, I do smoke a lot more joints than I did when I was a kid. But something about the big fat bong hit. I'm always that extreme guy. I'm 6.5 feet tall. Smoking a little joint feels weird to me.
6.5 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm 6'5", so I'm kind of a big dude.
I'm like a foot shorter than you are. I guess I can reach my joint faster. If you were going to roll a joint, what papers do you like?
I like the raws. I like to wrap it up with raw.
I always like to ask people these questions. I like to learn about stuff. Somebody about 35 years ago turned me on to Club Modiano glueless rice paper. And it's an amazing paper. You sort of have to be a decent joint roller to use it because there's no glue, but you can really taste the bud. So I'm old school. I'm 63 years old, so I grew up rolling joints, and I was never a real pipe guy. And then the bong thing, I just tried a few years ago, and I get it. I do get it, but for me, I don't get to enjoy the taste with a bong. Am I doing something wrong, or is that just part of using a bong?
That's just the bong. You're going through all the water, and then the glass gets filthy, so you taste dirty bong water and dirty glass more than your weed. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So I've always wondered about the cannabis cups, and I hope someday to. I've met Danny Danko on a couple occasions, and from High Times Magazine, and I'd love to have him on the show sometime and ask him about the procedure that goes on with the cups. Were you involved in the first cup last year in Colorado at all?
I've gone to every cup that High Times has hosted here in Colorado, but I'm not involved in any way. I just go as a patron and have a good time and get nice and baked with everybody.
Yeah, I did cover the cup as Medical Marijuana Radio, the first one that was in a small little venue, and then they had the that you walked outside, and then there was another room for patients, Colorado patients. And do you remember
down that little alleyway?
Yes, exactly. Boy, was that alleyway full of people. But I did, I had press credentials, so I was allowed to go in there. And I did not imbibe, although the smoke in there was just amazing. And all the dispensaries showed their wares. There were people doing dabs. It was quite incredible. Now, the next year I didn't go, but this last year, was it still at that same small venue, or did they change it? Because I heard there was like 16,000 people there.
They still did it at that little tiny place, but they opened up all of the streets around, where that little smoke, there was the main building and then there was the smoke building. They opened up that whole street area there so that they had a whole entire outside area of vendors also. And it was still jam-packed. It was still ridiculously crowded.
Well, we'll have to see what happens this year. Now, last year was the first year for just a regular cup. I think they did both medical and recreational. But this year, now that the dispensaries are open, this will obviously be happening in April again. So if I get up there, I'll give you a call, and maybe we can say hello to each other. Why don't you give out any information that you'd like to, your Facebook page or your website, wherever you'd like people to come take a look?
I'd like them to, first of all, check out iRegeneticsColorado.com. That's my main website. It's a little bit under construction, but most of my information's up there. I've got an Instagram and a Twitter. I'm at iRegenetics. And then, of course, I'm just iRegenetics on Facebook. please check me out. I've got a lot of pictures, a lot of photography.
Well, and also your podcast. Tell us how to listen to that, please.
Actually, it's my buddy Wade's podcast. I'm kind of the co-host, and I do the sound. Lately, I've been doing the sound for him. We are the 719 The Blocks. Which my buddy is Wade in the Toilet. He's an up-and-coming comedian. I think he's pretty darn funny.
Okay, do me a favor and IM me the link to that. I want to listen to some of those shows. So Jeff from iRegenetics, thank you very much. Congratulations. I waited a lifetime to be able to talk to somebody like you that was the first person to buy legal recreational marijuana on the 1st of January 2014. Thank you very much, and I hope to have you on the show again.
Oh, you sure will have me again. Thanks a lot for having me, man. I appreciate it, and I'm proud to be a part of history, and I'm glad to share it with you.
Thank you, brother, for all your help. Bye-bye. So that's Jeff from iRegenetics, and we'll be right back after this.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana radio show. The medical marijuana.
Wow, that turned out to be a really great show. I just met Jeff on Facebook a couple days ago, and he was talking about being the first person in his city to buy recreational marijuana. So thank you, Jeff. You made a great show for me. I didn't have to play all those clips, but they were very interesting, and we'll probably play some more next week. We'll be back on Friday night at 11 p.m. Pacific time on the Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network, and then again on Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific right here on Medical Marijuana Radio. So I want to thank my two radio mentors, both with the initials HS. Thank you for your inspiration. And next week, let's try getting some people to call in. This is your show. I want it to be interactive. So feel well, everybody. Happy New Year, and we'll be back next week. And if you want to send us an email, it's info@mmjradio.com. Guest suggestions, any comments?
Shalom.
Feel well, everybody. Good night.